The wine was warm, sticky. It clung to my scalp as it dripped down my temple, past my cheek, tracing the lines of restraint carved into me over years. Her sisters laughed first, then her friends. She didn't laugh, she smirked. "A joke," they said. "Lighten up," someone whispered. But I saw it, how she held the bottle just a moment longer than necessary, how the glass tilted with intent, not accident. I wiped my face in silence. Not because I couldn't speak, but because I didn't need to. I stood, stepped away from the table. The marble floor echoed with my retreat. I heard one of them gasp, perhaps from guilt, perhaps from fear. 10 minutes later, the gate creaked open. 3 men in suits stepped into the living room. She laughed again when she saw them, but this time no one else did. It hadn't always been like this. There was a time she looked at me like I was the only thing that made sense. Before the career, before the staged smiles and curated dinners and quiet cruelty behind closed doors. Somewhere along the way, I stopped being a man. I became a fixture, something to decorate her lifestyle, something to humiliate. I knew she was slipping. She forgot to hide things. A bank statement on the dresser, a private car drop-off she couldn't explain, messages she didn't delete. I wanted to believe it was just stress. But that night, when she poured the wine, she didn't look at me with hate. She looked at me like I didn't matter. That was the part that hollowed me out. I played my part, laughed at her jokes, attended her events, while quietly tearing the seams behind the curtain. Private investigator. 3 weeks. He sent me everything. Hotel receipts, photographs, recorded phone calls. His name was Damon, a married man, a lawyer, partner at the firm she pretended to hate. There were dinners, weekend trips, gifts she never brought home, conversations that weren't just intimate, they were cruel. She talked about me like I was a child, incapable, pathetic. She said she stayed with me because I was predictable, because I didn't ask questions, because I made her feel powerful. She didn't know the difference between quiet and weak. I documented everything, not for court, for control. Because some betrayals don't need punishment, they need exposure. The 3 men in suits weren't strangers. They were auditors, internal affairs, corporate intelligence, sent by me. Because Damon wasn't just a married lawyer, he was also her company's legal consultant, and I'd recently become a silent partner. I handed them a folder. They opened it in front of her. Her smile twitched when she saw her own signature, contracts she denied ever signing, invoices she thought were buried. She looked at me. Finally, really looked. "You did this?" she whispered. I didn't answer, just blinked. The lead auditor turned toward her. "Ma'am, we'll need you to come with us." Her friends started backing out. Her sisters stared in silence. All the laughter had dried up. She reached for me as they led her to the door. "Please, please just talk to me." I stepped back. Her voice cracked, begging now. "I didn't mean it. That night I didn't—" "You did," I said, finally speaking, and that's why it mattered. The officers paused. I nodded. They took her. Not in handcuffs. Not yet. But I saw it in her eyes. The realization that the house of mirrors she built had collapsed. I sat back down at the table. The wine bottle still stood, nearly empty. I poured myself a glass, lifted it, to no one in particular, and drank. They asked if I wanted to press charges. I said no. Let her drown in silence. Let her explain herself to boardrooms and lawyers and a man whose marriage she shattered. That would be enough. I moved out the next morning. No warning, no note, just absence. People talk. Some say I was too cold. Others say I must have loved her once. They're all wrong. I didn't love her. I loved the version of her I imagined when she held my hand and said we were in this together. She killed that version long before the wine ever touched my face. The real her? She poured that glass herself. And now, she can drink alone.